Good evening, cool crowd, to ETF2L's own 6 vs 6 season 52 Celsius Tropical Summer 2026 edition. In the top division, only the top teams are allowed. If that sounds self-evident, well, be aware I'm not talking about the skill in the game, but merely the naming of the teams. The Plucky Luckers take on Expose Me in week 4. And contrary to current temperatures here in Germany, we have J-Max Chill on production, while not Steven might question his life choices for tonight, but still Govan and Gullywash in this very matchup, not Steven.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Once again, we're seeing Govan, I think the third time already in this season. I think initially looking at this season, I thought Govan's not going to be played. People are not going to want to play it. But actually, it seems like these players are quite comfortable and quite enjoying this map thus far, or at least want to test out a little further, because we are seeing it again tonight and against two teams who I think we expect to be pretty high up on these tables currently. We see the Plucky Luckers in third place and Expose Me in fifth on these tables. Obviously, that could be switching depending on how things go tonight. But I think two teams who have been playing some of the harder teams thus far, and once again are going to be facing off against each other, and I think should be fairly well matched here. What do you think about these teams, Amato? Any standout players?
I mean, standout players for me, obviously, as always, probably SNH and Elof this time around. If we are talking about King of the Hill, but obviously Govan, not that used and not that prone to, for example, sniper off classes per se. I wanted to talk, since we're professional casters here, about the keyword that you spew into the voice mumble call already. I mean, you called out the concrete positions those teams are sitting on. The Plucky Luckers. Week 1 had a 6-0 win versus the Gremlins. In week 2 had a 3 versus 3 tie versus all odds. The odds, that is how this team is named. And then 6-0 win in week 3 versus Cubism. And Expose Me. Had a 3 tie versus Garda Panteri week 1. 6-0 win versus Gremlins week 2. And in week 3, 3 tie versus the odds, which is interesting, honestly, because both of those teams tied against the odds. Both of those teams won 6-0 versus Gremlins, but the last game is the reason why Plucky Luckers are sitting on more points than Expose Me, because they tied against Garda Panteri, and Plucky Luckers won against Cubism. Anyway, I don't want to dodge your question, but what is always spicy in those matchups here to me is the Mac Yak showdown.
Oh, of course, a classic Mac Yak showdown. Everyone likes to see it. I think two demo men who, you'll mix them up during the game, but two demo men playing on quite different styles. Yak playing that very aggressive demo first play style, whereas Mac, he had his time playing at the top on Medic, taking a little break from his demo man role, and now is right back to it, leading the team. Here will be main calling most likely for these guys. But it's always an interesting matchup. I feel like these two kind of clash in their methodologies of how they play. But I will say the Yak team been playing maybe a little different to how they used to. I feel like they're playing very, very scout heavy onto Soki compared to when a lot of the hills would go to Yak, as much as I've seen thus far. So it'll be interesting to see if it is the same for this one, and I hope so, because I'll be really good for my fantasy score if Soki does really well.
Oh, hinting at professionalism and talking about rosters here. Expose Me, you called it out. Soki on Pocket Scout, Air on the complementary Flank Scout, Elof on a Soldier, Tiram on a Soldier as well, Yak on Demo Man, and Robert on the Medic class. As for the Plucky Luckers, Smile on Pocket Scout, SNH, Flank, Bloke, Sylphs, Soldiers, Mech, and Eon top the charts in terms of Demo Man and Medic prowess. I had one quick research before I have another storyline here, but not Steven. I looked at a warm-up scrim of the Plucky Luckers. There was a Gullywash game of around 30 minutes, 3-1 to the Plucky Luckers. What was the KD of Smile there? I know it's very abstract.
You're putting me on the spot because I have not been looking at the logs before this. Okay, so 3-1 and only 13 minutes, you said.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they pre-ended it. It's just
and that's tough.
Like 3-1.
Okay, I don't know. So and they won 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, he's got to do well. I'm going for like a 20-4 kind of game.
Oh, 19 to 1, 19.0 KD. Impressive, I'd say. I don't know. But another spicy storyline here. I obviously do know Govan, in and out. I've been the biggest proponent for this map for years and years and years, but evidently not Steven. Feel free to map talk me here live. I mean, the map layout is not that hidden, I suppose, but I feel like those call-outs are not that well established, honestly.
No, I mean, I've been trying to make a couple up as we go along throughout these casts. I feel like your main two are kind of archers, which is quite self-explanatory. It's the archers with the BTC logo. A lot of flanks happen through that area. And then you also have church, where you commonly see soldiers like to stand and can really rain down a lot of damage if you do not take over that area. And I think we've seen kind of the best teams have been taking over this arch area while their combo pushes up through the ramp next to the church.
What I find integral as well, if you compare to the other King of the Hill maps, namely Product and Bagel, as soldiers really well positioned to fight and not only fight off players, but also chase a medic down if you try to escape. Usually you either lack horizontal or vertical space, as on Bagel, if you look at the barn, or you will lack vision when you look at Product. But here on Govan, if you go into the yard area, it's very easy for a soldier, honestly, to clap down a medic that leaves, for example, a disadvantageous Uber fight. So I'm very much looking forward to this, but speaking about it, looking forward to this ETF2L's own 606 season 52 degrees Celsius for that matter. Week 4 game here, Plucky Luckers in the red, and expose me in the blue. Let's take it away.
Yeah, both just rolling out into their ramp area here. A little bit of damage over point. Mac very aggressive, as is Yak, just trying to find a miracle pipe over. No one finds much thus far. It's Bloke taking a lot of aggression over this right-hand side archers. He's playing very much alone, while there is another flank fight also happening over to the blue side archers. Air coming in, trying to block this capture point, but he goes down for his troubles. And it looks like all the kills thus far are going towards the side of the Plucky Luckers.
The names are a bit hidden so far. Usually when you do open scoreboard, you can just reassume those names that were still missing here. But if you look on the left and the right side of your screen, seen from the combatants here, it was basically Soldier, Nuke from Sylphs, and we are looking at those anonymous gamers right now without name tags walking around. But the very first mid-fight was won by the Plucky Luckers. It was mainly Sylphs assuming a high ground position and shooting the barrage of rockets downward. Though now Robert travels forward here with air. They have to have to use early Smile chasing them out.
Yeah, pushing them back really, really far. However, Bloke does go down in this post-Uber trade. Need to be a little careful. Jack takes quite a bit of damage, and they are playing it very, very close here. Soldier Bomb comes in onto the medic of Eon. He will survive on a sliver of health. Mac taken down low as well, but Sylphs in the background playing on this church area. I thought he was going to commit for it, but decides it's better just to keep his life, as they are already a minute down on the clock for the side of the Plucky Luckers. What can they pluck up on the side of Expose Me to bring this back? It's not much as Sylphs is going to get to there.
They're all being plucked away. I suppose expose me isn't as true as explode me, honestly. All being exploded by those soldiers. Also, it's SNH running in. They are on so high kill streaks here, and Robert not out of harm's way yet on 20 HP, but the medic is being ripped to bits. I was talking about the follow-up fight from the soldiers, but now it is a scout coming in much more prominently. A soldier has to deal with a scout in his face. The Plucky Luckers, you don't have the timer on top, but they haven't ceded the point as of yet so far, and we had one mild advantage for expose me. Plucky Luckers went so weak 20 seconds ago, but not able to be in vital positions to clean them up, and again, very difficult to travel from the left side here, already lose to Ram.
Yeah, very aggressive forward hold coming out from the Plucky Luckers here, and SNH still alive in the background, takes down Soki and Air. Means the rest of the team can't really come in here. It's a little dangerous. Smile is in deep, he's in onto Yak. Can he find this kill? The arrows coming out from Robert, saving him for so long, but he will eventually go down here, and somehow still alive, still in the background, finally will be taken out. Ram has been a menace during all this time. Uber comes out from Eon as well here, so somehow this is wiped out for Expose Me finally, but it's Bloke in onto Sylphs. Can he find the second rocket? He does. That is Robert down, so that small Uber advantage that they would have had completely falls into the bin.
The only one who is able and allowed to kill T-Ram is T-Ram. He was running around frantically with his pickups, Kratos himself, but in the fog of war, which is we're still missing names here, nameplates on those players and the timer on top, it is the Plucky Luckers being in the advantage in terms of total times on the red team, but the blue team is trying to reciprocate. Robert does feature uber disadvantage. Mac is being eradicated on the wayside, and finally they can lengthen a bit of the cap timer here. Expose me, expose me.
Finally get a little bit, but I don't feel like they look in control. Their health just looks bad this entire time. They're losing to spam. They've had to send Alov in behind to try to deal with Bloke, and he can't even find the kill. And now the Uber comes out from Eon, chasing down these kills. It's Smile and Co here as the point is being captured during all this. They actually just want the kills. They could have basically just won the round. They only had 5 seconds left, but Mac walks off the point, wants to get greedy here, but I was going to say kills are going the way, but I'm not so sure. No, they are definitely going the way of the Plucky Luckers, as they are going to cap up this point. Only 5 seconds remaining. Surely this is theirs for the taking.
It was a very steep mountain to climb here. It is only a soldier flying in, but not able to inflict enough cap time. And with around only 20 to 30 seconds in their own favor for expose me, they fall down into a 1-0 deficit. And if you were wondering, why does Robert even stay in with the scout? Again, I'm going to iterate as we have our technical difficulties maybe a bit scuffled out in the backlines. He had to stay in. They basically had 0 time at all on the clock. We enter the secondary round, however, so Plucky Luckers leading 1-0.
Moved so fast to get into this fight, just instantly goes to Archers, was such a menace last round, but it's Alov in for the initial jump, gets a nice burst rocket onto Eon, can't find the second, but is Bloke back in and doesn't have any more luck. Will be followed up by Sales, just 1 rocket onto Robert. It's a little scary though, as Mac is charging over this point, sending some spam over front, but it's these scouts fighting all the time. Smile finds his pick onto air, finds his man, and it will be the Plucky Luckers once again winning this initial fight here. Soki wants to fight straight back here. Needs to be careful of these pipes. It's a nice first one from Mac. Doesn't look like he's going to find the one to finally take him out, but Plucky Luckers just look like they have so much control.
And there we have the nameplates back on, also the timer on top. It is 20 seconds now for Plucky Luckers and a ticking. Again, those soldier classes here and also the explosive damage classes definitely reined them in for quite a prolonged period of time. This Uber is for cosmetical purposes only, it seemed, but Sylphs is bombing in onto the enemy demo man. It is Elov with a huge air shot for Eons. He did live, but Elov shows some love to the fog of war that we called out before, and that was a highlight reel frag of some sorts.
Great air shot. Robert stays alive during all this, even though they did try to go in for those big stacks, tried to find the kills, but he was far out of harm's way during that one. This allows the rest of the team to come in. Mac a little further forward than he would have been. Soki taking him out there, and Smile will respond by getting a pick of his own. And once again, it's Bloke in behind, coming from that Archer's area, and will take down Robert. So they lose the Uber advantage. It feels like they have this small opportunity to get themselves back in, but just do not have the coordination with their flank to put them in the correct place and to secure Robert's life for long enough to take advantage. So once again, they're on a back foot, and they'll be on a back foot for even longer if you're just going to use a yak for free.
They have to stem the bleeding. What are they doing? Bleeding all the players. You get a wonderful air shot onto Eon, but it doesn't even matter. Robert still maintains a uber disadvantage, and you can't really inflict the hemorrhage here as Mac is already leaping forward, and Robert easily caught out. Yak as well, some celebratory pipes into the fray. A 3k for Mac here is riddling the enemy team's side with corpses, and soon to be corpses. Eon so far out, nothing to be gathered. Smile on a 6k, they are absolutely tearing them apart. And expose me, they can be cheeky, but you can't be cheeky if you're constantly being fragged, constantly on your own side. And again, not even a singular cap so far for them this round.
Yeah, it feels like they have so much more of a plan, and the plan on the side of Expose Me is just to jump in and try to get onto Eon, but once again, he will survive the bomb in from T-Ram, and you're just losing player after player. Feels like they're just constantly running in on the side of Expose Me, trying to find any fight that will possibly win them something, but nothing is happening at all, and there's only 15 seconds left on this clock. It's basically Taram, the only one left alive. Maybe Alov is going to be able to jump in, get a tiny touch on that cap, but I don't know if it's going to mean anything as the red Uber makes its way out here. It's going to be Robert dying once more, and it will be a second very, very dominant round towards the Plucky Luckers.
Expose me, fanboys. Do not look on your top right corner. I literally counted whenever they had a kill streak. Literally everyone always had a kill streak. 4k, 5k, 6k, okay, maybe that. Another player 4k, 5k, another player 6k. That was absolutely crazy. Did Robert have more than one Uber? I don't think he had. In the very first minute, I think that was a genuine Uber engagement where the red team took it to the blue team, but after that, basically being caught non-stop. And also not able to really do anything out of the flanks here. But Ian is now trapped in by a very good high bomb from a soldier. Robert, though, immediately not able to be protected. And now SNH has to, well, basically defend himself. It's a 2v1. It's scrappy. It's finally a fighting chance here for Expose Me. Smile versus Yak. Yak with a pipe. Perfect. They win the mid fight. Let's just call it like that. Ian spawns early. Doesn't really matter because you spawned alone. Robert now spawns. It is even in the Ubers.
Yeah, Bloke comes in with that fast rollout. Once again, takes down Yak because he's not buffed, doesn't have the follow-up, and they might be able to get this first cap. You said it was a freebie, but it definitely wasn't a certain, as Bloke has been such a menace on this right-hand side, on this Archer's side. It's really made the life hard for the side of Expose Me. We'll take him down here, but there's also a fight on point during all of this. Selbs raining down so much damage from the point, being a secondary demo man during this game, and Air trying to, deny that cap, but unable to. And now they just get this forward hold set up. They're really good at, taking this momentum and continuing it and managing to get back at the right times. And it's going to be something different for the side of Expose Me, coming in through arches this time. Might want to try to save the Uber to them. Actually, they just want to see if they can cap the point here.
Oh no, Robert!
And Robert goes down to a sticky trap from Mac.
How easy that was. They look continuously nervous and so out of sync, honestly, Expose Me. That was quite daunting for them, having to protect themselves into the yard. And before that, it was really a game of possession here. Bloke even scuttles in behind. Robert able to leave momentarily. Yes, continuously. He was so weak. They're basically chased into the spawn, but it is the health deficiency. It is the target selection deficiency. They're always being flanked by all sorts of ways. The only real success they had, Expose Me, was by soldiers flying forward, separating either Ian or Mac, but now it's not really working since the flank is so far very well set up. You see it here, Smile and SNH, Robert as well, all cleaned up from main and from the flank.
Yeah, they're not getting bullied by flankers, they're getting bullied by an Uber advantage on the side of Expose Me. So try to set up a little bit of aggression over on the Archer's flank initially to try to get Alov in, but he was just denied by a soldier and a scout of SNH, and could just really do nothing here. Ubers are even, so it should be an even fight, and do want to actually send the whole team in through Archers. It's Air taking a lot of damage initially, and they just have to back out on the side of Expose Me. Instantly just met by the rest of the team of Plucky Luckers. Now it's even SNH in behind.
Yeah, Robert goes down again. It's so bizarre, honestly. I mean, on face value, judging from the results, those teams should be way more on par. It is not even a mere positioning deficit. No, it seems as if the Plucky Luckers simply have more deathmatch, even if they have a 1v1. Air again falls down to Mac. Ian lives. Ian on 3 deaths. Robert, I think, dies at least in 1 minute 3 times, so also a deficit here probably in terms of medics. And Uber is used finally, not in a position where Robert can die. No, he's backing out, losing Yak on the wayside. 40 seconds though, and a soldier leaping up to the air. A follow-up fight now, maybe. Now. Expose Me can do something if Robert doesn't die to his TP trap.
We'll have to see as they're instantly meeting. It's a double soldier crunch in onto Robert. The whole team getting into this foray. Don't get the target they wanted to. Will take down Alov as the only player here, losing 2 for it on the side of the Plucky Luckers. So maybe finally an opportunity for them to get in with 15 seconds remaining. Air, though, going to go down at an unfortunate timing here to SNH. And they're all playing on point. Bloke is spawning up, and he has been a real menace for this team. But actually, they're going into them. They are going deep. Alov finding rockets onto Bloke, makes him back out here. Selbs does a crazy amount of damage. Tyram comes in, Eon on minuscule amount of HP. Oh, it's close, but it's not enough.
A chase of pace. Eon picks up his own medigun after he switched back. That was weird. That was bizarre again. But Opaque so far was the pathway of the soldier. Eon lives. Tyram takes Eon down to 7 HP. Robert didn't even use yet, and they will only use after this red luminescence has faded to a significant extent, which means now air can chase out. Some players doesn't really find anything. They have to worry about overextending here. Robert also falls in the behind areas, lives as well. If you don't find anything, you will bleed out. But Elof squeezes water from stone at least, but this Uber fight was abysmal.
But
for the
5 seconds
blue team.
remaining, that's all they need. There's no spawners up in time, and they just cap the point and win, and sometimes it's that simple. It doesn't matter if you get the medic, you just allow them to completely get on point for free, and they just win it out 3-0. I'm not gonna lie, that Expose Me team just... It was so obvious that they have a lack of experience on this map, because they were completely giving up the flanks for free, and they were completely being bullied by that fact. Eventually, they were, sending a little aggression onto archers and trying something out that was a little different, but I think it was too little too late, and they were doing a really good job of just setting up the flanks, and I think, there was just no showing from the flank at all from the side of Expose Me, and really, really just gads. Smile had an insane game there. I do not even need to look at the logs to see how well he did.
Obviously, that last medifrag didn't matter. The problem is, what is he supposed to do, 1v5 or 1v6? But that was the only real threshold of originality and prowess for Expose Me. Expose Me, they had 1 or 2 opportunities maybe with an Uber advantage or even close to Ubers, but very exemplary at that last encounter. Going deep with an Uber, literally finding nothing of note. Plucky Lacquer simply hiding out of sight. I called it. Smile not on 19.0 KD as in the warm-up scrim, still 7.0 KD. I think we'll take that in a top division official match here. 28 frags, only 4 deaths. SNH is trending soon thereafter in terms of total kills. A bit more deaths, doesn't really matter though. You were so dictating, even both soldiers going positive. Mac as well, with the positive vibes, I might add. 3.5 KD, 439 damage, but guess what? Smile is the top damager, a scout. That is hefty, even on a demo man on King of the Hill, but Smile is on a scout.
Yeah, 530 is just disgusting. Like, you should just never be getting that much. It just feels like they're constantly feeding to them, right? Like, these soldiers are just distracting for 1 second on the flank, and it's just completely allowing the combo to come in. And there were so many Ubers that were just perfectly timed. It just felt like they weren't playing around the map how it was intended, how you should kind of play to bait that Uber out and then just leave with Robert. They were really hard committed to the ramp, just did not know the spacing of the map. It felt like it's what I previously said. It's just an experience difference there. It really did not look like they knew what they were doing on Expose Me, and they really took advantage of that. And yeah, the miniguns, that's going to help, right? Having 4 Ubers compared to 10 is rough for Robert, but that is the life of a Yak team sometimes.
Also 4 deaths compared to 12 deaths, and Eon had 3 deaths going into that last round, only dying once in that final round. 1 drop out of Robert here. Also, you put it in a nutshell how the different methodologies, but also the different engagements, I suppose, dictated the flow of this game. But do you need to be a premiership team to play a map and not be absolutely torn to bits on it? Apparently, yes. Those teams have experience. I think they have also scrimmed this map before, but I don't know. It also felt like they were just simply gunned out on deathmatch level, which was quite bizarre for me, honestly.
Yeah, there is a little inexperience on this team of Expose Me compared to the other side. I think Soki has had a bit of a foray against opponents about this level, but I think it's really his first time having this much responsibility in the team. And then Air is very, very new at playing at this high level in Europe, at least. And I think it really showed. I just kept seeing him just running to the point and trying to edge cap it like it was Bagel, when you just need to be watching the flank. I don't know. Maybe it's just what the team is saying, right? Sometimes you just have to go through what the main call says, but it's just not a strategy that works on this game. And I think maybe I just haven't played against a team who plays it quite like the Plucky Luckers did. But enough on Govan, because we are on Gullywash, and both teams should know this map a lot better. You said Smile had a great game before. We'll have to see if he can do it for a third map in a row here, because I think this is going to be a much tougher one for the Plucky Luckers.
All right, I will agree on the mutual ceasefire. I mean, you cannot not agree on a mutual ceasefire, I suppose, but just write Govan off here. It is already GG in terms of maps, because Govan and Gullywash. GG! Expose me in the blue, the Plucky Luckers in the red. We forget what happened in the very first map. I suppose we just play with a handicap here, but the Plucky Luckers taking this firmly 3-0. Look how weak Air is on the demo man, by the way, rolling out, and Yak on scout.
Okay, we are on some tilt gameplay here if we're already switching potential classes, especially when you think this map quite traditionally can be a demo man map. It doesn't seem to matter, as they are maybe doing a little bit better. Rushing it down, Mac is Soki, but will lose his life for it. Obviously, keeping up Eon during all this time will allow the Plucky Luckers to win this initial foray. And Air already on the engineer. I think they should be going back to standard classes, but that was definitely interesting.
Yes, interesting, I think, is the word we can roll with. Let's embrace a 100% Uber charge from Eon that is now coming close to the shutter. Some stickies go there. We can buff our players up. Take a lot of time here. 60% is still separate Robert from his own luminescent glow. But now the red luminescent glow comes through the river here. Does that flow through the sentry gun? Yes, only sentry gun going down. So much kept them already gamed though, and no one is really dealing with it. And they just stay on the high ground, think, oh, guess what? We're not taking damage. Yeah, guess what though? Point is important.
Yeah, just came through water there, and no one who could really contest a point straight away. Did send one soldier, but he was dealt with quickly. And that is a steam roll of around about 1.5 minutes on that one for the side of the Plucky Luckers, looking to get this game done quickly if they stay at this pace. But I think it should be a little different, as we do see Yak back on his main class, back on the demo man here. But it's a bomb instantly from Sylves onto Yak. Will be the first one to fall here. It looks like actually the rest of the team comes up with them, and it is just Robert having to scarper his way out. He is assisted by Soki here, trying to get out, but this gives a great opportunity just to walk forward on the side of the Plucky Luckers. Want to take this fight on the low ground here. Uber's 80% for Robert, 60% on Eon. We'll see if that comes into play, but I'm not sure as well, as he is caught out. The crossfire coming in from Big Door from Bloke has been an exemplary flanker already in this second map, and was just the same in first. Now full Uber advantage for the side of the Plucky Luckers. Look like they want to take it instantly in through this shutters area. Will be used here on to Smile. Gets a pick onto Yak. No demo man to carpet at that point here. And it is already Bloke up on the high ground, bullying these players trying to jump to this point, trying to save things, and he will once again cap up the point, and it's a quick 2-0 for the Plucky Luckers.
They need to spell it out for anyone watching. A better mid-fight essentially helped because Yak is on Demo Man this time around. Issue though, you leave with Robert, decent. Robert has some weird sidesteps there. I mean, 3 to 5% separate him from his own Uber, but that wouldn't even have been a good Uber regardless, since he already lost 2 players before any Uber could come out. And then he dies, they're being instantly locked into their own spawn. The Plucky Luckers are very lucky and plucky as well to pluck some damage from the rim. And immediately though, this time around, they do lose 2 players.
Yeah, that is a nice thing to have. Got to be careful of SNH. Hiding in the background here. He wants to block this cap. He's going to find the 1v1 with Soki. Both scouts missing shots. It's an awkward fight playing from this high to low ground area. Used to just playing on even ground. It will be Soki capping up this point, so going to allow the rest of his team to come in. But it is SNH actually winning out this fight on mid, and now they're stuck in a weird situation. Do they go forward with these kills, or do they go back to try to find SNH? Looks like they're going to look forward. Now SNH is going to die to actually sticky trap from Yak in Baby Door here. 100% Uber advantage. Is this the Uber to get them back into this game? It was a rough first couple of rounds, but this could be the redemption, as they already are in onto last. Uber does not have to be used here. It's finally used onto Air. He's going to try to chase down Bloke into this water area, but he's surviving for a long time here, making things a little awkward. Sylves will go down here, but Smart was out on the Pyro doing a good job of denying, but it's not enough. And in a similar fashion and in a similar dominance to what we saw happen to them, it will be Expose Me finding themselves around, and hopefully if they can keep this momentum up, they can be looking a little more competitive, because it looks rough those first 5 minutes.
Silly question to ask if a Yak team is going to retreat or recede. Never back, always forward, and usually it does cost you if you just send all your players onto a last point in main with your Uber and just all narrow side go onto that point, but that was easy because they had such a long blow and didn't have to use early, so that definitely helped their efforts. Now Mac is already sticking off the enemy team's choke, and Eon is the first one to fall here. She rammed into the ground, Bloke responds in kind though, so it is still a Scout jostling a bit in the choke here, but Soki eradicated as well, and it is an exemplary mid-fight, as in Expose Me, all explode.
Yeah, they luckily get Aeon, right? It's not all for nothing here, but already starting to cup up the second point. Bloke is going to be playing on the high ground. It's going to make it difficult for these soldiers to come up through River here. However, he will be the one losing his life first, so might get a bit of a chance to come in here, but the rest of the Max squad has come in for backup here. It's Night Pipes going onto air, will take him down with a little bit more chip shot, losing to Ram as well. Now the brakes are off, now the gas is on, as they're going to want to chase here. They're going to want to try to find any more picks. Also having about a 30% Uber advantage here. Could decide to slow it down, could decide to play on that, but they don't. It's Silv's already in, it's SNH going for that rat play
crits
in
now.
Water here, and it's so difficult, Tomato.
It's crits now from Eon here, and coming in close with the pipes and with the stickies galore, and the soldiers are still leaping up to the sky. Can they find what they need? Yes, they do. Eon only living here with Smile, probably retreating. Yes, indeed. Robert on 40 HP. The scouts still jostling, still jousting, and walking through Secret. I have another secret to disclose to you. That's a meat shot out to Robert. Never mind. Eon also follows this up with a quarrelsome growl. Ultimately, Medic Dominion. Soldier wins against the Scout. Quite lucky, quite hefty. Still locks them probably on their own last point.
Yeah, I mean, Eon getting that pick is really crucial. I'm not sure Smile was going to hit that final shot before those spawners got up to help there. So Eon hitting the crossbow could be super crucial, and also does give him that crit advantage, I guess it is. Crit's usually a little less effective the second time round when they know that you do have it up. Obviously have that pyro, that sentry gun. It's a lot more effective against a crits than it is an Uber, but we'll see what happens. And then 95% looking into this river area is early bombs coming in from the Expose Me soldiers, trying to find someone out early, maybe get onto Eon a little overextended. It is crits onto Mac, he finds Taran instantly. Can he find more here? Sentry gun and Pyro still up and doing a good job of denying these crit stickies, so that's all they'll get. And it's also Smile going down, so Pocket Scout means likely gonna leave here on the side of the Plucky Luckers, but they've got plenty of time to play with still. I say plenty, 2 minutes actually on the clock.
A crit sticky deflected into Taram's position, but it is a bipartisan approach here. Speaking about crit streak against Ubercharge, very difficult though to try to push out, since it is Gullywash last. They are opting for the baby door. SNH switching to sniper. It is though important here. Is Robert kept alive? He is kept alive. He is forced either way though, and Eon did switch back into the spawn to Medigun.
So Uber's going to be relatively even small advantage for Eon here, so I don't expect them to push instantly forward. They're also probably expecting it to still be crits here. I don't think anyone spotted that Eon is back on this Medigun here, or that he went all the way behind, maybe just assuming that he played passive as soon as they saw a little bit of aggression coming out. So we'll be playing relatively far back with Robert, making sure they have a lot of spam on to this choke point, and that's probably a good idea, as they were already poking and prodding a little bit on the Plucky Luckers, but looks like they want to rotate the big door Tomato.
Notably, you always want to rotate into a flank that does not expect you to have heals early on, but it is Tyram realizing this and shooting himself out of range. Robert doesn't have yet. They have to retreat into a forward position here. Can they escape? They cannot. This red luminescent glow is able to absolutely nuke them to bits. Only 2 players fall in the big door area. Doesn't really matter though. Air and Elof, that is. Air retreats. Elof still hides in the forward area in lobby, but that was again 5% mattering. This is how you play it. You push with your combo into a flank. Flank was able to realize it, but Robert was not able to realize it.
So Uber advantage once again for the side of the Plucky Luckers. They look pretty good on their Uber pushes thus far. 100% success rate for the Uber charge into last here, but Bloke going down to a pick from Tiram getting aggressive into the river area. Might change those plans, but they're looking pretty aggressive towards this Shutters area. They do use through Shutters. Early pick onto Alov is exactly what they need. Damage onto the Sentry Gun will take it down here. They do manage to get a couple more spawners out this time, so not quite as easy of a cap as they previously have had here. Do manage to take down Yak, so no Demo Man. And it's Eon taking down Taram, once again getting these crucial picks on the medic. It's SNH on point. He finds a shot onto Soki, and he finds a third round for the Plucky Luckers.
So a Pyro and a Heavy combining can play the long fight from the high ground, but you do leave yourself open to have no one protecting the point, and that was wonderfully curated and recognized by the scout. Renan, very notably, very easy honestly, and it's a 3-1. I want to put my emphasis as well on the fact that yes, it was a complete whitewash on Govan, but at least Expose Me put up way more of a closer fight here. Still, we are still only 10 minutes in this game. It felt like it could have definitely been longer, but it is only 2 rounds here separating Plucky Luckers from taking it outright. Air is the very first one to fall. T-Rem tries to reciprocate on the choke, but they're already leaving. It was a last-ditch attempt to kill Ian.
Yeah, you got to try something at that point, right? You're just constantly on the back foot, and they're getting chased into their lobby area, not even going to be allowed to settle onto second here as the chase just carries on. And this is the thing about these teams, they do love just pressing the W key. The Yak and Mac theology is take the space until it's kind of not given to you. Yeah, Sills onto Robert. Robert will have a couple of nice surfs to get out of that one. Now gives him the chance to come back in on the side of Expose Me. A lot of high ground though for the side of the Plucky Luckers will make it difficult. Taking down SNH is a first way to do it, but it's Uber out here for the side of the Plucky Luckers, and it will not be returned for the side of Expose Me. Lose to Ram for it, but I don't think that's the end of the world, as they are allowed him basically for free into this choke area.
Wonderful surf by Ion kept his team for longer in the game that they had any right to do, but now the flank is exploding here and Bloke is making landfall behind. You see so much cap time already gained and they're backcapping them. Essentially, Bloke also is flying into river and now they have to stop the bleeding, stop the hemorrhage on the last point here as Bloke is already hammering in onto it, but doesn't really hold a candle to a 2-man disadvantageous fight. They also had a lot of health to battle against, but drew a lot of players back, and that is all what he wanted.
Yeah, losing a lot of players for this, though. I lost a couple for that back cap attempt, and I feel like you just want to leave after that, but losing 2 more. Mac and Silves not going to be alive to defend this second. Just Bloke in the forward spawn on the sniper. Can't find anything on that initial shot, and will send himself back to the last point here. Eon, though, already on 90%, so should be even Ubers for this last push, Tomato.
It's a risk that you run if you go for the backcap shenanigan. If a lot of players still try to commit to block a midpoint and then rush behind them, that second doesn't take a long time to recap if the entire team that was backcapped by is committing to once more recap that point. So you can instantly go into the midpoint and delay those spawners and delay them on 10 seconds. So that was a basically coast-to-coast scenario here. Backcap definitely not working out. Soki is still in river and there are stickies. Good night, Soki. It is though a team with a 2-man advantage here that has to push out, and Eon probably in peril. You are very safe though to walk into the river. Silves is down and he was the only one really doing anything. Robert down to 20 HP.
Taken down quite low there, just going for that counter sack as those 2 scouts were down. Was expecting at least one of them come up on an off class. It's Hiram going for an interesting bomb, maybe just trying to make a distraction or trying to go for an off timing, but now they know the sentry's there and you just can't bomb onto the medic when he's there. And Yak went into water, will be taken down here. So surely now we see the Yak spy. This feels like every moment that I've ever seen Yak go spy, and it's right this second. I'm looking to my magic able tomato, and yeah, I'm seeing French flags, I'm seeing baguettes, and that's exactly what happens. I can see the future. What can I say?
This Cryospore, the big earner though on Yak, he is the biggest earner after all, running through main, 11 kills, 10 deaths, 5 assists, and it is important here. Look, 3 players suiciding, and maybe they want to draw the enemy team out and, well, divert some viewpoints here. Smile is probably aware of it though on Pyro still, and they want to bait them out. They want them to push so Yak can back.
That's exactly what's happening. He goes for the decloak, but there's still 4 players up on last, and actually got a little scarily close to being able to have that one out, but will go down. Mac finds 2 there, coming in through that choke point. So it's looking now good again for the Plucky Luck. It's got to be a little careful on Mac, though, trying to find a fight in through Big Dog, but the rest of the team now making their way in through choke.
Mech stick the forward spawn. I don't know if those people don't realize that you die if you walk onto a sticky trap. Sylphs is also in the front line here. The front runners are though blue this time around as this engagement started. Ion has a longer glow. They are sharing this dominion here in the well, contrary chokes. They don't really meet each other with the Uber, that said. And in other words, it is now helping the team that is clumping the blue faction in their own choke. Mech lives, Ion lives, SNH live, they all live. They charged into the enemy team's choke, clumped them there, had a longer Uber duration, and then suddenly Expose Me realized, hey, why do we not have backup? We have to rush back, and they also had a this.
Instantly coming in through all the doors on the side of the Plucky Luckers, just completely bullying out the side of Expose Me. Even if the Ubers are even here, they are sending them right back to last. Who's even Smile trying to get a little bit cheeky, but do find Yak as well during this. So that means no Demo Man, and that makes life a hell of a lot easier if you do want to force something SNH into water. Mac finding his demise inside of that Shutter's area, and it is SNH trying to go for something cheeky, but will lose his life here. And 2 players down, and they still want to fight here on the side of the Plucky Luckers. Get a lot of Uber targets Ubered during this whole shenanigans, and it's just a little messy. There's players trying to go into water, there's players into lobby, and not really much has occurred from this Uber trade thus far, but I guess it kind of wastes time, and that's exactly what you want to do when you are up on that advantageous position. And SNH is up on Sniper and has been very, very good on this class in the past, so we'll have to see what he can do this time. But
he wants
he's
to go
actually
back
forward spawn? What's going on? Okay. I was going to say maybe he just wants to switch off, and that's exactly what happens, as he has gone back onto the scout, deciding that the
main reason the Plucky Luckers pushed before, by the way, was, yes, it was 2 men going down on both sides, but Air also went down to 20 HP, so the Pyro was forced off his point protection duties, and they had a point around 40% capped, and that definitely could have helped for the afterfight. And that was also why the Sniper realized, hey, I guess we should rather have a Scout than a Sniper. That just realistically did tick down time, and it is very difficult here, honestly. Expose Me can probably just play for the round reset and send it again.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they finally decide to do here. Gonna take it slow, I guess, for now. Yeah, as you said, could just go for this round reset. 2 minutes remaining. 12 minutes on the clock, though. You still got plenty of time to try to win this one out if you want to. I think maybe the best thing you can do is try to go for the play here. Get it to 4-0. Makes it so much easier the next round. And just to kind of shut things out, not let them into this game by just winning one more round. But it's a hard defense, right? You have a lot of angles, though. You have 3 different doors you can spam here. You can try to play a player into water, which is exactly what they do with Smile, as Mac rains down damage from this top area here. And they're taking eyes from everywhere, and they do get the force onto Robert.
What a meme play, honestly. I mean, it was a very easy force. Arrogant as well. The Pyro thinks he can reflect it all, but the problem is a Demo Man has a lot of projectiles, and if they are unleashed in a close quarter scenario where a lot of players are bunched up, you will take damage, and you will bleed, and you will not die, but Medic Uber will be forced, and that is exactly what happened. Robert had to be forced, and they were just staring at him and allowing all the space here as well. Smile is on the point, parading, chaperoning on it, diffusing some sticky traps, and already it is 20% capped here. A lot of players are just falling down. They're playing the long-term fight, and Smile turns a frown upside down for his team for 1.
That was a good one. That was a very good one. And yeah, as you said, they should be happy as they are looking good and looking dominant thus far. 4-1 here. They've looked very good every mid, only losing 1 mid thus far. And it didn't even look too bad on that one either. But we'll see if they can make it a 5th mid and a 5th round here, as it is the Plucky Luckers up 4-1, looking to close this one out. Not as fast as Govan, but still in a good time.
Going a bit more of a passive approach, Yak is sticking off the choke of the opposing team here, and Tyrion is receiving some buffs. They are finally playing conservationalist style. Bloke is in behind though. Are they aware of me? They are not. Robert down. Now you can play the long-term fight here. They have more players, the blue ones, but Ion is on the field, so it is basically man advantage versus heals advantage.
Bloke has just been an absolute menace behind in these games. It feels like he goes completely uncontested or completely unnoticed sometimes, and Robert just constantly has his back turned towards him and finds so many free rockets for himself from Bloke. And once again, he's in behind, and this just allows a little bit of aggression to come from Big Door. It does, however, have the card of Mac dying, so will not be completely ideal to try to mount a push here. But Bloke is just so happy in the background. Smile now wants to try to come in, wants to make a fight up, and wants to bully out something here. As Bloke now going in for the high of high bombs. Can he find the air shot? He cannot. 25 HP onto Robert. Will survive, at least for now, and that should be the end of that big push, but it's definitely not the end of the round here, as yeah, they're going to want to keep pushing on the side of the Plucky Luckers. I don't think they know that they're quite this far back. They do have this much of an advantage, but they could realistically just force their way in on the side of the Plucky Luckers if they want to.
It was a monstrous sequence of play, but that was mostly curated due to Ion having an uber advantage and Bloke is still hiding in behind. I don't want to focus on reductive binaries, but usually a team that has the uber advantage is going to win in that position where you just simply push them out, press them out. It's again what is happening here through the choke area. Smile has uber popped onto him, Robert has to multi essentially, so it is mitigated. The fact that Ion had to pop earlier, now they are trending toward the high ground here because you do have an advantage after all if you're not being trapped out. Now it is a soldier also flying in here. Yak is eradicated, Robert down to 20 HP and they cannot find salvation. No, only Tirem, only air left alive. Now the prime target here is Ion, but he is protected and you can be trapped off if you leave into the enemy team's high ground, but it's not the case if the soldiers just come in, and it is now Ion with a celebratory push and frag, and the Plucky Luckers 5-1.
Yeah, looking really strong there. Just that final fight, managing to get the high ground, or at least bully the high ground away from the side of Expose Me, and then it was pretty simple from there on out. And yeah, they just looked really good during that whole game. I mean, SNH and Smile putting on a masterclass, Bloke getting some amazing flanks here, and they just never really let up on the aggression on this side of the Plucky Luckers. Lost that one round, but I don't think they're going to be too mad about that, as yeah, I think that game did not take very long, right? That was about less than 45 minutes for the entire series, so a quick one overall.
Quick one, maybe easy night for some people, but I also have the chronically of the duty to point out that we have a simultaneous stream as well on princestream.gg that might still be ongoing, but let's cut through the artifice of this game and look at cold numbers. SNH tops the charts this time around, 19 kills, only 6 deaths. Smile though, I think he's pretty happy as well with this KD and with the kills. Yak, 14 kills, 14 deaths, perfect life form, 1.0 KD. Problem though, his team still loses and they were not able to revel in the chaos, were simply outgunned, outrotated by soldiers, outrotated by uber deficiencies, usually Bloke jumping in from behind on the chokes, on the mids. They were being strangled out from the mids. That also explains why Robert has more than 2 times the deaths and only 3 assists. Also, one thing I wanted to point out about Govan, only 1 assist on Robert as well on that map there. So his players simply don't really do damage in Uber engages, in fights, in anything. Also, what was very much telling for me is Plucky Luckers simply take their Uber where players can take damage. Same was not seen by Expose Me. They also were in Uber deficiencies for the majority of this game. Do you see anything else, maybe in the soldiers, for example?
I mean, Alop doing insane damage, tried to carry the team on his back, but not much else he really could have done during all this. I think it just was mostly the scouts not able to do much on the side of Expose Me as well. Robert having a really tough game, 7 deaths compared to Eon's 3, and Eon actually goes positive on the KD, 4-3, so was finding a lot of use out of that crossbow during the game. But yeah, I mean, mostly momentum going towards the Plucky Luckers, making the most out of those Uber advantages the majority of the time. Stuck on crits for a little bit, but then switched to Uber. and they were back in the driver's seat for pretty much the rest of the game that we did see. And 9 Mediguns, 2 crits creeds here, so looking pretty dominant on stats for the side of the Plucky Luckers, and Alov trying his best, getting most tails as well, but it was not enough today, unfortunately. And yeah, there will be 2 maps lost for them. That's -6 points to the potentials of the side of Expose Me, sending them only to 12 points here, and that's going to bring the Plucky Luckers up to 21, and that should be pulling them up to that first place spot for this week at least.
So polar opposites, well, 12 to 21, you know, cheeky, get that. But we have basically also a tale old as time. Gullywash, notably very strong for soldiers, but obviously scouts do help you quite a lot, especially in open areas on second points. And we saw that Plucky Luckers scouts had way more impact, also seen in the heals, while those blue scouts basically received the fewest amount of heals out of all those gamers. But that was it from our week 4 game between the Plucky Luckers versus, well, I guess it is more true that way. Explode me, exploding in all sorts of ways. As I already alluded to, PrinceStream.gg probably still has a coverage ongoing, so you can still catch some Team Fortress 2 action, but I was, am, and will be Dumetio. With me was not Steven. It was a quick game. It was still a fun game though, and JMax on production. We will catch you in week 5.